Welcome, everybody. This is Brandi Horton, the Vice President of Communications at Rails-to-Trails Conservancy, and I am so excited to be with everybody today because we are only 3 days out from Celebrate Trails Day. And I feel like those of you who have been following along have been hearing us for at least the past month being so excited about everything that's coming up and all of the great events that are happening all across the country. For those of you who are just tuning in, Celebrate Trails Day is the annual spring celebration of the country's trails, but it happens with a specific purpose. We really want to bring focus to the impact that trails have on all aspects of our lives, in our communities, and on the planet. And from a national perspective this year, we are so excited. There are over 100 events as of right now scheduled for Saturday. There are events happening in many, many states in all regions of the country. And there are people who have shared that they are going to get out on the trails and participate in all 50 states. So for us, that's just huge. There are rail trails and multi-use trails in every single state. And so we just love to see that there are people planning to get out for Celebrate Trails Day in every single state. This year is extra special because Celebrate Trails Day aligns with Earth Day. And so for those of us who are regular trail users, it feels pretty natural that trails are such an important part of the environmental movement in our country. But when people aren't really thinking about trails in that way, or they're kind of thinking about climate over here and trails over there, there are so many ways that trails contribute to the well-being of all of our lives, but also to the planet in different ways. So whether that's being a place for people to recreate and connect with nature, and when you do connect with nature, really starting to understand, and appreciate the spaces that you are really taking care of in different ways. That's a really important aspect. Another aspect is thinking about trails as green infrastructure. In a lot of parts of our country, trails have been built into resilience plans of communities, whether that's kind of planning for flooding, planning for different kind of aspects of how communities need to be designed. And really important, they give us a way to get around without a car. So, for me, I often go to work on my bike and I am on the trail for most of the ride. I probably wouldn't in the Washington, D.C. area feel super comfortable on the road. We have a lot of traffic here, but I can do that on the trail and it's a really pleasant experience. We're seeing just more and more and more of that all across the country. So Saturday, April 22nd is a day that we're going to celebrate all of those benefits. We're really going to dig in on how important trails are really in all aspects of our lives. I'm so excited to be joined today by three folks who are taking part in really big and special ways in Celebrate Trails Day. So we have Ajoa, who is a lifelong athlete, and she is the content creator behind She Focuses Next. And so that's really exciting. We're so glad to have her. Nia, who is with Black People Do Bike out of Baltimore, and Leigh, who is with the Market at Pepper Place in Birmingham. So welcome, ladies. We're so glad to have you. And I want to kick off the conversation with Nia. So, I've teed up what Celebrate Trails Day is. We're so excited. Clearly, I'm excited. But I'm curious, what are you all planning to do? What are you doing to mark the day?
Oh, we are planning a huge event. This will be our second annual Cyclovia and Move Well Festival. So the point of this festival and things is to not only celebrate National Minority Health Month, which is in the month of April, we're also Celebrate Trails Day. So we'll be doing that both of those things, and also celebrating Earth Day. So we plan on having all sorts of events, which include bike rodeo for kids, a virtual cycling race, which people will receive prizes. We have a Gwen's Fall trail ride coming, fun for people on and off the bike. Is a very family-friendly event, and it'll be here in Baltimore, where I'm located, in Carroll Park, from 12 to 4. So we're super excited about it. This is our second time doing an event of this magnitude, so we're hoping it's going to be bigger and better this year.
I love that so much. And one of the things I love about that event in Baltimore is that you hit some people only do the bike rodeo. Some people only do the trail ride. And you're like, you know what?
Right.
No, we're going to do all of the things. And the family friendly aspect of it and getting people kind of out onto the trails and connecting with their neighbors and community is just such an important way to really kind of build a relationship with trails,
Definitely.
which sometimes they're so valued in our communities, but they can be hidden and people don't even realize that they're there. So Leigh, your trail, as I understand, I haven't been there yet, but I understand it's not hidden at all. It's right there next to the market. But tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on.
Well, I am the executive director of the market at Pepper Place, which is the largest producer-only farmers market in Alabama, and we're right, in downtown. We are literally one block away from this stretch, an identified stretch of trail that connects. It's like it's our river. Sadly, we don't have waterfront like Baltimore or Philly or some other places. We don't have a river or a bay. We have our trail. And so the trail really connects. It's as the different parts of it get filled into, it's connecting all the real parts. It's the real lifeline for Birmingham. Anyway, our market is right next to it. So there's a perfect opportunity for us, besides with our big market, which we'll have Saturday, we're going to have a special gathering that's just for Celebrate Trails Day that is in the area that connects right to the actual physical trail. And we're going to have live music and all these great organizations that are going to be represented, and a really cool outdoor store called Alabama Outdoors. We're going to have, I think Athletic Brewing is a sponsor for the, Celebrate Trails Day. And so there's going to be free non-alcoholic beer, and there's going to be cool giveaways. The Lakeshore Foundation, which is a really great, my watch is interacting with me. My watch.
I love when that happens.
The Lakeshore Foundation is a place that works with people with physical disabilities and challenges, and they're going to give away this really cool thing called a freewheel bike, which is
awesome.
Adapts to people that with all different types of abilities. It's beautiful, super cool. What can I say besides 85 farmers, food producers, artisans from all over the state will have this really cool gathering with about 30 different organizations and vendors represented that are just for Celebrate Trails Day, that are elevating this experience. And there'll be games, as I said, live music and stuff. We also have a drive electric car show that is kind of also part of the Earth Day thing. It's, a farmer's market is all about people that are using what we have to share the best with everybody. And that's what this event is doing, is showing, I think, is highlighting these beautiful natural assets that we have, and some that are created assets, but they're right here. You just have to get people to pay attention. You want them to every day, but if they can do it on one day.
That's perfect. No, that's exactly right. And there's two things that are happening in Birmingham that I think are so important. One is that it's simply going to be fun. And when we talk about what makes trails special, why is it a space, like if you need to exercise, you want to be physically active, like what's different about going to the gym or going to the trail? Well, there's the nature component and being in nature and all of those benefits. It's also just fun. It's just kind of fun to be there. So to bring in the music and kind of that festival vibe, that's happening in Baltimore, that's happening in Birmingham. It's just really fun. But I also love that there is this intersection with kind of the community development and the economic development piece. When I think about farmers markets, I think about they are these kind of community hubs, and they can be spaces where people can meet each other, they can get information, they can try new things, they appreciate where their food comes from, and building the trail into that same experience. There's so much similarity, and I think that makes such an important impact on folks. So Ajoa, you're in Philadelphia, what are you thinking you're going to do?
I am. So my plan is to kick off the day with a dawn walk at the John Hines Wildlife Refuge. It's close to home, and that's a trail that I visit often because I'm able to get there fast, and it's kind of like a hidden jewel. However, my plan is to get up early in the morning. I'm going to meet up with some girlfriends, and we're going to head over to the trail. And one of the amazing things about this is just between Friday and Saturday, I'll be closing out a month of fasting. And for myself and others in my community, a lot of times people think when you're fasting, you're not really able to engage in physical activity. And, you have to kind of just moderate what your activity looks like. And one of the things that we've been able to do is still be active, because we've been able to go out and just enjoy creation, right? And hit the trails with some friends and engage in meaningful discussion. And really, I've been able to show some of the women in my community places that they've never even ventured to before. And that's one of the things that I love to do. And also just getting out early in the morning, taking a deep breath in nature and starting your day like that, it just lends itself to set an amazing day. And I know Saturday is going to be a great time all across the nation, with everyone participating in the various Celebrate Trails Day activities. And I'm looking forward to sharing what my experience is like at dawn, because I have not gone out to John Hines at dawn with all the wildlife. However, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to, those that will join me. And I'm just excited to be participating in these activities.
I love all of that. And I love that you share that this is at the tail end of Ramadan, and that, how trails have factored into a way to be physically active and in nature while fasting. And I think it hits on such an important point that, we often talk about, like, how do we encourage people to be physically active? How do we get people out into nature? And sometimes, depending on the circumstances, it's like from 0 to like rock climbing, which is awesome if that's what motivates you. But what I love about multi-use trails and rail trails is that I often think of them as like the invitation to the outdoors, because you can do as much as you like, as you're physically able, and all of it makes a difference, right? All of it makes a difference. Some folks are like, I don't want to bike 100 miles. Well, cool. That's awesome. What do you want to do? I want to sit and enjoy that stream. That's why there's a bench, right? It is a destination, and it is a way to get places. Trails deliver so much. And I also want to correct, I didn't get your handle right the first time when I introduced you. So she is focused _next. And so Ajoa is going to be sharing a bit, but also super fun to follow, because you're a mom too, and you're out there introducing this to your kiddos, introducing this to your community. And I think that, that's what it takes to build that appreciation for trails, and for people to really grasp the impact that trails have. And, a lot of folks, when they first kind of think about trails, they think about recreation, they think about fun, which is really important. But then they start to understand how it becomes kind of the underpinnings of a community, of a neighborhood, and all of the things that can happen there. And that's my segue into my next question. And we're going to start with Leigh here about, why do you think that national observances, I think it's so special that these 2 days, Celebrate Trails Day and Earth Day, are coinciding. Why do you think those kinds of days matter?
I think I am of the opinion that I think that all of us race through our lives every single day. We have kids, we have work, we have responsibilities, we're cooking, we're, dealing with stresses, and we might look around us. I mean, Ajoa, you sound like you have a great setup to, you have a great discipline of getting up early in the morning. I do that too. We go for a walk or for a run like every morning on, in this beautiful trail that's not far from where I am. But I think that people, they just get into habits, and a day like this is an opportunity for people to just take 1 minute, just take one day and look around and say, oh my gosh, here's this thing, I'm doing it every day, but today I'm actually going to pay attention. I'm actually going to look around me and be present. And I think in my market newsletter, I'm working on that today. I remind people a lot, because I feel it. I think that we live in this incredible place, and really, I think, all over the world, communities are fortunate to have these pathways, whether or not they're created from trails or whatever. There are pathways all around us that we use every day, these tracks. And when we acknowledge, when we all pay attention just on one day, and we drink and eat and walk together or roll or ride together, whatever, on these trails on this day, we look around and we're like, oh my God, I cannot believe what is actually around me. Like, we actually see. And, we have to be told, we have to be reminded to just be quiet and look around for just a minute. I think that's what I think this day does.
Yeah.
I love, I mean, for the market to have an opportunity to shine that spotlight. I mean, I try to
love
get
that.
people to do that every Saturday, but anyway,
But sometimes, yeah,
it's-
it takes a day to take
Mhm.
that moment. And I love what you said about like even acknowledging the privilege that we have
Yeah.
this, and that
Oh
we
yeah,
have
I mean, it's important.
this
I mean,
access.
and we're so grateful, to you guys, to Rails to Trails, which is just, keeps it in people's mind and presents it in a way that's fun and accessible.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think, anybody can go on these trails. I mean,
That's right.
I guess there are ones that you have to pay to, but most of them are free.
Mostly they're free. Yeah. And I think, our vision is that trails connect everyone everywhere. And our goal is that we will have a nationwide system of trails where close to home, everyone can get out into nature quickly and do what they want to do, walk, bike, be active, whatever that looks like. And I think having a day, having a moment to acknowledge that, to take that in, and then hopefully build it into your practice, whatever that looks like.
Yes.
Ajoa, what are you thinking about? What do you think
Mhm.
matters? What happens on a day like Saturday?
Community. I'm very communal. I love when people come together in spaces and places and just engage in activities that bring them joy. And one of the things that I've been able to better understand over the past few years is the joy that I have in the outdoors and the joy that I share that joy with others. And I love to hear about, and I'm loving hearing about the activities that are going to take place on Saturday, because the first thing that comes to mind is like family and just connectivity and community and stewardship of, the lands, and then stewardship of one another. Like, you all are creating a sense of community care. We all are creating a sense of community care, where we're bringing people together to engage in spaces to help lift their spirits and just enjoy one another's company and appreciate these natural spaces and natural environments that we live in, right? Just very basic, but intentional and important and meaningful.
Basic, but something that we don't think about or talk about, I think,
We
nearly often
don't.
enough.
We
And
don't.
so one of the things I've been saying is that I feel like days like these become almost at moments of collective action. We're all out there together. We're saying this space matters to us. We're saying community matters to us. We're
Yes.
saying that family and togetherness and time matters to us. And when we all show up on a day like Saturday, it sends a way bigger message than when we're all out there one by one. And so, there's a lot of events and we're excited about the events, but I'm also so excited about the thousands of people who have said, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to get out there with you all. I might go out for a 10-minute walk, or I might go out for a ride with my kids, or whatever that looks like, but I'm going to be out there and I'm going to share my message on social media, and you guys can share that this space matters to me. So Nia, over to you. What are you thinking about?
Wow, everyone said such great answers. I'm like, what am I going to say? I guess a day like, Celebrate the Trails Day is very near and dear to my heart, of course, because I'm a cyclist and I have, developed a community of cyclists throughout Baltimore. And our big thing is health and wellness. And, a lot of people talk about health and wellness and that kind of thing, but it's a holistic thing. Being amongst nature, it brings up your mood. Being on a bike, it brings up your mood, and you're getting exercise. And, our event is collaborative. And where we were able to join with an organization also here in Baltimore, Pigtown Climbs, where we were able to align and join when we developed this festival last year, was that our concentration was making sure that, Black and brown faces, minorities, had a space, had, opportunity to be amongst nature, to, celebrate in this. Last year we had all sorts of dancing, we had a DJ, we have a bounce house, we've had yoga and cooking demos. So and even knowledge about how to become healthy, how to look for a healthcare provider, those types of things. So, while this does highlight and celebrate, Trails Day, is such a big thing. It's almost like welcome to spring. You can come back outside now and be more around people and be more active and enjoy the family and do it in whatever way you want. If yoga is your thing, then you can do it outside. If cycling is your thing, you can do it out there. If rock climbing is your thing, because we'll have a rock wall there, you can do that. So it's just about being amongst nature and being around people, because the community will be in Southwest Baltimore. So that's what we envision for a day like this. So we're doing a lot, but it's a lot of fun to be out and celebrate a day like this.
I love that. And I love that you're integrating the rock climbing with the invitation to the outdoors, because I often find myself in outdoor sector kind of settings where people are like, whoa, like major outdoorists, they're figuring out how they're doing 30 days of, unassisted hiking. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about getting people out in nature for the first time and bringing the rock climbing wall to the trail. It's amazing. It's perfect. I love that so much. And themes across everything that you all are saying and that we're hearing from people across the country, action, awareness, learning, a chance to learn about where you live, about each other, about yourself, about the health piece. I love, Ajoa, I might borrow it here, the stewardship of yourself and the place, right? We often think about stewardship of the environment and public lands, but stewardship of you, right? And having this moment, that is an act, right? That is a moment of action to say, like, I matter. I'm going to take this time for myself right now, and I'm going to find this space and I'm going to use it. I also think something else that has come up here is that these spaces are free, and they are spaces that are they are public spaces in our communities. And the fact that they are there, but the fact that not everyone feels seen or welcome in those spaces is, to me, another part of why Celebrate Trails Day is so important, because of these 100 events that are happening. What Rails-to-Trails Conservancy does is we make the moment, and we provide some support, and we provide resources and things like that to folks to help kind of give them the motivation and the ideas to kind of start the day, or a reason to have an event. But we don't guide the events. The events are entirely community driven, and they are intended to be reflective of what the community wants to do. So there's a fantastic event happening in DC that I was sharing earlier, where folks are doing a meditative nature walk, and it's like a healing walk, and it's all about kind of taking space to connect with nature close to home in an urban environment. There are cleanups in places that need and want to have cleanups. There are family events. There are women-led events. There are events led by communities of color. They're all different, and they're all representative of what the community wants and needs. And that is, I think, how we make these spaces more welcoming. And that's how more people say, like, my neighbor invited me this is for me, right? It isn't just a thing I'm seeing in my community and I'm not sure what it's for. So that, to me, that matters so much. And when we look at what we hope the outcome is for Saturday, and why Rails to Trails does this, we want everyone in our country to know about the trails that are there, to feel welcome on the trails that are there, and to hopefully, use them and become advocates for these spaces in the ways that represent and are true to them and true to what they want and what they need. We also want to make sure we're sending a message, a big one, to all of the decision makers, the federal decision makers, the state, the local decision makers, those who have the dollars and are making, channeling those resources, that this infrastructure and the impacts that it brings to the people and the places is essential, right? It makes such a difference to the well-being of our communities. Some places, that's, a lot of rural places, it is the economic driver. It is the tourism tool. It is the job creation tool. That's true in rural and urban and suburban communities. In a lot of places, it is the place to be active. It is the place to be active, right? And we want to make sure that that's accessible and that's safe. In some places, it's the only option for transportation, right? There isn't public transportation, or there isn't another choice that exists, or it's the preferred choice, right? Whether or not you have a car. So the impact that it delivers it crosses so many different parts of our lives, and we want to send that message in a big way. And so I'm curious, when you guys think about what's happening on Saturday, and then you think about what's happening on Sunday, we're going to start with you, Ajoa. What do you hope people will take away?
My hope is that people will gain exposure and be exposed, right, to places and spaces that they can see themselves engaging in long term, right? Celebrate Trails Day is one day. However, the goal is to have folks return to these places and spaces and think about, how they found value in participating in the activities and, how it made them feel. And, one of the things that Nia spoke about, was the comprehensive, health and wellness benefits of just engaging in physical activity and in the outdoors. And, think about, for me, when I engage in activity and I go to places and they made me feel good and I had a really good experience, what do I want to do? I want to return. And that's what I hope that people really get out of, all this awareness raising that we're doing and, the engagements and all the variety of activities that are taking place. They feel a connection, right, to these spaces and they want to return. And I'm looking forward to helping to foster that and support that. But if I could say one thing, that's it, to feel like they can envision themselves being repeat experience havers in the spaces, right? Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, totally. It's like, if you're not familiar with it, sometimes it's hard to get up the gumption to go give it a try, or I'm not really sure what to do. You experience it once, you realize it's a heck of a good time. You might want to go out there and do it again and bring some people with you. And then all of a sudden you've gone from you to your friends to, it's a neighborhood thing. It's a whole community. Nia, what about you? What are you hoping happens on Sunday?
I am hoping that everyone has a good time. And probably to learn a little something and, just take the time to take in nature and enjoy the wonderful gems that Baltimore has to offer. Baltimore is unique in the sense of, it may be in a city area, and a lot of times you think, concrete buildings and all of this, but Baltimore is very green. There are lots of parks in Baltimore. There's a lot of trails in Baltimore. But Gwynns Falls Trail in particular, a lot of people don't even know it exists. And it's a really nice trail. It connects to a lot of parks. And, that's why we decided to have it, one, at Carroll Park, because we have a relationship with Carroll Park. And also to get people to know that we have this gym in Gwynns Falls that we can, enjoy. So I want people to get that, and also just to know that Carroll Park is here. Because again, another thing, Carroll Park is huge, and a lot of people don't even know that it's there, or they may not want to come to that park in particular. But Carroll Park is an amazing place to be, and it brings a lot of people to that area. So I want people to have a good time and celebrate just being around each other and being able to be active outside. And overall, I just want people to have a good time.
Have a good time and take that with them to the next time. One thing I want to mention here, so Ajoa's talked about a few places in the Philadelphia area. Nia's talked about, Carroll Park, the Gwynns Falls Park, and in Birmingham too. All of your events are happening on trail networks, which is really cool, because sometimes people think about the trail and they think of the singular. But when you talk about the trails connect to the parks, which connects to the places and the things that people want to do, and starting to think about how that network just, the ripple effects of, you connect this to this to this, more people have access, more people can go further if they want to, or get to a park that they want to go to, or any of those things. So I love that there's also some highlighting in all of the things that are happening on Saturday of what happens when connectivity comes together. What happens when the park and the trail coincide, great things, really great things.
Definitely.
Leigh.
Brandi, there are several organizations in the greater Birmingham area that are working on something called the Red Rock Trail, but it's a network of trails that is in the greater Birmingham area that's 700 somehow, trails are windy, 750 miles. And the goal is to connect these, these main arteries that are the most accessible in our entire kind of beautifully spread out city, similar to Baltimore, where it's diverse and all over the place. But I think that, again, it helps people see. It just helps people look around and see how incredibly accessible the access points are, and how mind-blowingly diverse and interesting the world is, your own world is, when you see it from a different perspective, from that perspective, and share it with your community. I'm excited. I find every time I get out of my car and walk or
Yes.
run or bike a trail, I see something, I see, I see something differently. And
do.
I think on Sunday, people will have different views on things. And I think they'll realize how easy it is to get to these doorways to a different perspective that's really enriching and, and community building. That's important. That's really important.
And something worth fighting for. And I think that really matters, right? This
Absolutely.
is what we're talking about here is the fun. Like this is going to be Saturday is going to be fun. Sunday morning we wake up and we say, oh, that was so much fun. I want more of that. And maybe I'm willing to take some action for that. And I think for folks who are thinking about, what does that mean? Maybe I'm not like an action taker by getting out on the trail. That's action, because you are sending a very clear message that this space matters to my community. I always think, listening to everyone sharing today about your trails and how kind of they factor into your lives, what you're looking forward to. I think about my trail. I live in South Arlington, outside of Washington, D.C., a super diverse community. And sometimes we hear folks say like, the trail space isn't very diverse. I look at my trail, it's full of my neighbors. It's full of people that I might not interact with in another space. We might have different day-to-day lives, but on the trail, we're all together. And I wave to the same people every morning. And I also mark, like, I know if I'm late based on when I pass them on the trail, right? All of those things are true. And you get when you're moving at the speed of your own body, you, I think, see more of who lives in your neighborhood, who your neighbors are, who your community is. And that's something that you're willing to fight for, right? That's something that you care about even more. So, Celebrate Trails Day sounds like a load of fun, and it's going to be a load of fun, but it's also a really important moment of collective action for our places, for our people, for ourselves, and for our communities. And I'm so excited to be in this with all of you and the 100 or so other folks all across the country who are organizing these events. So Saturday is the day to get out there and have a great time. Sunday is the day to think about, like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to help make more of this happen for myself and for my community? Ladies, I love this. Yeah.
Brandi, I think one thing I forgot to mention. So at the end of our day, we have a bunch of people that are coming to visit from all over the country, and as anyway, a lot of fun stuff, giveaways. But our big celebration is going to culminate with the parade from this party out to the trail, and people, whether they're on bikes or walking or on rollerblades or in wheelchairs or however they're moving, we're all gonna make music and go out to the trail.
So awesome.
and head down. You can go down to this Ghost Train Brewing, where they're gonna have like a picnic ready for people. It's like a half a mile away. You can go in the other direction and go down to Railroad Park, where there's more fun stuff going on. They go through totally different types of neighborhoods. It's beautiful peak of spring. And I encourage parade. I think all of you guys need to gather up your friends, and whether it's a few or it's 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, parade is pretty fun. And if you can sing and get a brass band, even better.
Everyone's coming out, and that's a heck of a visual, right? You see the parade coming. It is awesome. And one of my favorite scenes from last year's Celebrate Trails Day happened at the Cyclovia, Nia, and there was just this awesome wheelie competition. And I was this is nothing says this is our space more than that. It was just really cool. It was so much fun. So the message for Saturday: find an event near you. There are so many to choose from. If there isn't an event near you, follow Leigh's, get a couple friends and have a parade. That's all it takes. Or just get out there and really just enjoy the space. And on Sunday morning, we wake up and we do the work. And with that, thank you all for everything that you're doing. I'm so proud to be a part of this with all of you, and looking forward to an awesome day. Thank you all.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Nice to see you guys. Have fun.
Yeah. See you later.
See you out there.